Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel after a good long break. Formula One is back. Almost every team has brought upgrades, and some teams have shown massive improvements in sprint qualifying of the Miami GP this weekend. So let's talk about all of that. Okay, before we get started, I do want to share that our very own Kushmani has got in pole position in F2. He drives in F2 for Art Grand Prix team. He's also Alpine's reserve driver, so he's been in the waiting for an F1 seat for a long time, but I'm just happy to see him do well in F2. Okay, now let's get started talking about upgrades. Aston Martin Aramco Formula One team. This is the most badass team in the grid. They have earned my respect for showing up without a single upgrade. This is like, there is a difference between coming to school without doing your homework and then panicking and trying to copy from someone else versus coming to school without doing your homework, without a care in the world and chilling because you're going to get punished anyway. So that is how Aston Martin have shown up. It takes guts to show up to the car inspection time with FIA while all these other teams are spending literally hours explaining every little detail, and you just say, hey, nothing from our end. The GOAT Alonso needs no upgrades. He will make a statement. In the sprint qualifying, Lance Stroll caused the only yellow flag when he decided he doesn't even feel like going to school, so stopped the car halfway and went back to the grid. Alonso did much better actually. He managed to put such a crazy lap time that if either he was in F1 or F2, he would have started in the last row. Now that is saying something. Okay, alright, hear me out. Jokes aside, Aston Martin were not wasting their 4-week break doing nothing. Their biggest problem for Aston Martin was the reliability, and I think they have been working on just that. Alonso mentioned that the engine vibrations are much better compared to Japan. No performance upgrades for now, it's just fixing reliability. What I'm thinking is that they will bring a massive performance upgrade to Canada in the second half of May, and then we will see if they are actually better than a team who's never made a Formula One car before. Okay. Moving on, let's talk about the TGR Haas F1 team. They have brought a single upgrade to Miami, a diffuser element that will help with a bit of downforce and a little bit of aerodynamics. So the diffuser elements are on the back side and it is kind of visible only from behind. Does this mean Haas also spent the 4 weeks just on one upgrade? I don't think so. I'm sure there is plenty more coming in Canada. Haas finished P13 and 18 in the sprint qualifying. Clearly, every other team has brought in upgrades and have seen some improvements. Haas were the 7th fastest car in Australia, 5th fastest in China, and back to 7th fastest in Japan. But in Miami sprint qualifying, they are still the 7th fastest because Ollie got into SQ2. Basically, that's the only saving grace. I'd say Haas's biggest competitions are Audi, Stake F1 and Williams and Racing Bulls. They are a proper midfield team in terms of qualifying speed. Other than Ocon not doing his best, I think Haas is exactly where they are. But when it comes to Haas's strength, it has never been their qualifying, it's been their race pace. They're actually sitting P4 in the constructors. Can you believe? Haas, who have been like 7th fastest in qualifying, they are in P4. We'll have to wait and see if this change has helped them in the race pace as well. But speaking of midfield teams, Audi Revolut F1 team also have brought only 2 upgrades, a new brake duct and a suspension leg covers. This will definitely help with managing airflow, cooling of the brakes. There is even a new diffuser winglet, all of which are components that will directly impact downforce. Audi has been trying to sneak into the top 5. While their qualifying pace is good, they mess up almost every race start. They have been struggling with gaining positions in the race, and because of that, they are P8 in the constructors right now. These 2 upgrades that are brought on paper have nothing to do with race starts, so they could have made some software tweaks as well. So I'm waiting to see if their race starts get any better. The next team on the list with only 2 upgrades is Mercedes. Yes, the championship leaders, the benchmarks, the team that got off on the front foot. All their flamboyance just made the target on their back much bigger. So what are these 2 upgrades? So the first one is their tailpipe. So earlier the angle of the tailpipe was slightly upwards, so it was pointing towards the upper wing. Now that the angle has been reversed, they have also copied Ferrari and added a slot. This is to reduce drag and improve downforce. The second upgrade is an increased drum lip chord. The chord here refers to the horizontal distance between two specific points on a wheel's rim profile, specifically where the inner part of the wheel rim meets the carbon fiber brake drum cover. The purpose of a drum lip is to create like a tight aerodynamic seal. In modern F1 teams want to prevent air from leaking out of the wheel into the high pressure area inside the braking. So this is clearly to manage airflow to the rear of the car instead of it getting escaped through the sides. This is again going to help with downforce. The biggest competition for Mercedes at the moment are their customers' teams, specifically McLaren. The power unit have become like an obvious benchmark. So while teams with non-Mercedes power units are working to catch up to the overall output of the Mercedes power teams are all figuring out all these nitty-gritties that will get them closer to the factory team. So if you were to take the results from the sprint qualifying seriously, McLaren are going to be a huge pain in the wrong place for Mercedes this season. While Kimi Antonelli is starting in P2 in the sprint, Russell had Thomas the Tank Engine problems. The McLarens are in the first and second rows. This is the same team that had only one car start in the first two races. So we'll talk about McLaren in a bit, but Mercedes need to be looking very closely at their works teams. Dare I say the championship is back on. Let's wait and see. Now moving on, let's talk about Visa Cash App RB. VCarb weren't just cooking on social media, they have brought 6 new upgrades to Miami. One upgrade is in the front, which is a circuit specific front wing flap, and the rest all upgrades are to the rear of the car. They have changes in their corners, suspension, floor edge, rear wing and end plates. But did all of these upgrades work? Not really. Liam complained throughout the sprint qualifying session about vibrations, and he didn't even qualify to SQ2. Our boy Lindblad, on the other hand, managed to get to SQ2 but couldn't improve, more than 16th place. So let's see if these upgrades have gotten any significant improvements to their race pace, because I think both Arvid and Liam are better race drivers than drivers who put in a very good qualifying lap. I mean, Arvid is still only 3 races into Formula 1, so we have to wait and see. Moving on to the biggest surprise of 2026 season, the Mafia boss Flavio Briatore's team, Alpine. BWD Alpine are in 5th place in the Constructors' Championship, although the point margins are very narrow. Last year they were at P10, they were dead last. You know what is the biggest surprise in Miami? Colapinto is starting ahead of Gasly. Gasly seems to have some wheel spin problems, which is very specific to his side of the garage and his car, so he might struggle in the sprint, but Alpine might try and fix it. Alpine also have done most of their upgrades to the rear of the car, the suspension, the rear wing and the end plate. The gap between Pierre Gasly and Colapinto have always been greater than 0.5 seconds, sometimes even close to 1 second or 1.2 seconds, right? So if we were to take that gap into consideration and assuming Alpine fix the wheel spin issues for Gasly, we might have Alpine fighting in the top 6. Let's hope so. And I think Pierre Gasly is probably the most underrated driver on the grid. But anyways, glad to see Alpine do really well and figure out their shed right after Alonso left the team. Moving on from a team that surprised us by how good they are in 2026 to a team that surprised us by how underprepared they are in 2026, Atlassian Williams Formula 1 team. I think the biggest problem for Williams is their title sponsor. I think they are carrying the curses of every corporate employee who wakes up in the morning and has to use Atlassian software at work. Dude, Williams were better in 2025 without any upgrades. The whole shtick of Williams was that they are going to fully focus on the 2026 car, ignoring everything. Arguably, they had the biggest head start, which was publicly announced. The season has just been a huge disaster for them, from missing their shakedown to failing safety tests to being extremely overweight. The only way is up, right? Wrong. After bringing all of these upgrades to floors, side pods, engine covers, cooling exits, tail pipes and rear wing braces and whatnot, they have finished 14th and 15th in SQ2. Albon and Sainz say that the upgrades are in the right direction, but right direction compared to what? They have gone from being 9th fastest in the team to 8th fastest in, at least based on sprint qualifying. The fact that they have the same power unit as Mercedes, McLaren and Alpine and are still 3 seconds away from the top, 3 full seconds away from the top, shows how much work they have left to do. So there is more to come out of the car. I hope they lock in and they start showing up a lot more consistently in the top 10. Williams' podium is quite a long way away. You know who else was on podium quite a bit last year and is yet to score a single spot in the podium this year? Oracle Red Bull Racing. These fellows have upgraded their whole car from front to the back. There are so many new parts. They've gotten upgrades in the front wing, front corner, side pods, engine covers, floor, rear wing, everything. The most upgrades are to help streamlining the airflow and improving the downforce. Another report also mentioned the car's weight has also significantly come down. Max Verstappen finished top 5 Hadjar and top 10, but the biggest improvement I see is in the lap times. They have reduced the gap from 1 second to Mercedes 2.5 seconds. Max on one hand seems to be happy with the progress. Hadjar seems to be confused. He has no clue why he is a second off. So maybe the car again is being developed to Max's driving style. Is the Red Bull second driver curse back again? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. We shall wait and see in the race how that turns out. Okay, moving on to McLaren, the Papaya boys were cooking through the sprint quali. Our world champion Lando Norris is back in P1. McLaren have proved that they are the perfect works team last year and the year before, winning constructors. The fact that they are using another team's power unit and build a car around it better than the factory team itself is just mad impressive. 2026 season have been about figuring out the Mercedes PU and building a decent car around it. And you know what? For the first time in 2026, I am seeing the same beast mode of McLaren which we saw in 2025. Lando and Oscar, both of them were great during the practice sessions. All their upgrades have focused on improving downforce and cooling. Just like Red Bull, they basically have an upgrade across every bit of the car. Lando said his confidence in this car felt similar to the confidence he had in the 2025 car. Both Lando and Oscar said they were surprised with the pace, but they also added that there is more left in the car. So looks like the championship is not decided yet. It is not Mercedes' year yet. We have to wait and see how McLaren's race pace is, but looks like the championship is back on. If Japan was an indication of their race pace, I think definitely they are on par, if not better than Mercedes. So yeah, the championship just got interesting. Okay, so moving on, the team with the second most number of upgrades is actually Cadillac. They basically have changed pretty much their whole car. We shouldn't be hard on them. They are a brand new team and they have senior citizens driving for them. I'm joking. I don't think their priority is 2026 at all. The team and the drivers are basically setting up the basics of a Formula One team. I think they're doing a decent job, rooting for them to score points this season. That would be like the equivalent of scoring a podium, I guess, considering they are a brand new team. This is just their first season in Formula One. I don't think it's going to be too difficult. Hopefully, it will be definitely good to see Perez and Bottas do well, show up in the top 10 every now and then. Now let's talk about the team which has the most number of upgrades and the least improvement. The source of half the Formula One community's depressions, Scuderia Ferrari. 11 upgrades, P4 and P7, just like last year. Lewis's post-quali interview just feels like the start of depression. You know, that smile he has, but you know deep down he is crying and dying. I find this very peculiar, okay? Whenever I try to make these kind of videos, I try to listen to interviews of drivers and some reports to find out exactly what the problem of that car is. For some reason with Ferrari, these drivers, they always appear like they don't know what is actually wrong with the car. Leclerc basically said that the McLaren had optimization problems in the early season, so they have figured out that and that's why they are ahead. Lewis came into the weekend hoping for more and it didn't happen. So none of them have given us any hint about what portion of the car needs improvement. The one good thing about Ferrari's 2026 car was their race pace and their race start. In the sprint race, we will see if they still have that advantage at the start and if they have anything more left in the race pace. We will see in the next few weeks. if they have a few more upgrades and they can get some race wins this season. I don't want to keep hoping, but hope is all we can do with Ferrari. So these are the list of upgrades and the effects of these upgrades on sprint qualifying. I know we will get to see the race pace in sprint, and we also have the main qualifying and the main race left. So we will come back again in the same channel and discuss about the overall weekend. But for now, this is it for the video. I am excited for the sprint race. I am excited for the main qualifying and the main race. Stay subscribed. I know there is a possibility of a wet race, and this would be this year's first wet race, and we'll get to see how these new regulations work in a wet race. So stay subscribed for another video about the sprint and the qualifying and the overall race. So I shall see you very soon. Okay? Peace.